Oh, hey, welcome back, fellow shop rat. Sorry about that. You caught me here playing with my stool. The local furniture store was giving away stool samples, but I realized that my stool was really hard and I needed to add some stool softener. So I'm going to work on that for a minute, but that's not the point of today's episode. Today, we're back on the Golden Mullet. Now, we've got a movie coming on the Golden Mullet that's about 2 hours long, and we will share the trailer for that with you in a little while. But that was kind of a sidebar from the big picture of the project. So today, I've been making some decisions about what I'm going to be using in the drivetrain. So I have a bunch of stuff I want to share with you and show you some things. So let's watch the show intro. It's 5 seconds long, and we'll see you on the other side. And hopefully by then, I'll be done playing with my stool. I'm Mike.
This is My Cars Shop.
There we go. All done. Actually, probably should have shared the process of that with you because it's a lot like doing antique car upholstery. But anyway, I just thought I'd share my nice soft brown stool with you. So let's get on with the episode. Stop with the corny jokes. There's been a number of factors in the Golden Mullet project as I have been engineering it behind the scenes, and most of that is just cogitating in my brain. But number of factors that I've been considering when it comes to this project, and that is realizing that I'm pushing 60 years old. I mean, I got a little ways to go, but not much. It's coming like a freight train. I've got so many parts and things kicking around the shop, the warehouse, upstairs, and the economy being what it is, and my income being what it is, and the channel being the size that it is, with its income not being much yet. It's just, you have to start getting real and say, okay, I've got, you know, 10 projects we're doing here. I don't have deep pockets. I do everything on a shoestring, as you've seen on the costing that we've done on the Challenger. We have saved significant, I mean, huge amounts of money by fabricating. But as always, as I'm plotting and planning the Golden Mullet project, I'm realizing, I really need to look at what's here, what I can use from what I have, rather than going out and spending a bunch of money. One of the things that I don't have in all the stuff I have around here, I don't have any, not even one big block automatic transmission. I have a few small blocks. I have a couple 904s, a couple 727 small blocks. But the one thing we do have a bunch of is 4 speeds and 3 speeds. Now the car has a 3 speed in it. The car is all set up for a stick. Not that that matters because we're not using any of that chassis, of course. But um, I've been waffling back and forth on it for a while, and I started thinking through some of the stuff that I had set aside for stitches. Like, I don't have a big block 4 speed bell housing, but I do have a Lakewood big block 4 speed bell housing, and that's just been like niggling at my brain for a while, and realized, why don't I consider using the Lakewood that I had set aside for the Challenger, which isn't really in line with what that car should have? Why don't I consider using that Lakewood bell housing on the Golden Mullet with the B body 4 speed that I have, or the B body 3 speed that is in it? Now, my mind isn't made up yet on whether I'm going 3 speed or 4 speed. There's some advantages to a 3 speed when it comes to racing. It's one less shift. Now, I don't plan on campaigning the car. I'm building it to run down the track and have fun with, but I'm also building it to be beyond what the 68 Pro Street Dart GTS is that we have, as far as being kind of a street race car. So where that car's Pro Street, this car is going to probably be closer to like a Pro Mod type of thing. Not quite that extreme, but more than Pro Street. Pretty much a full-on race car that will be street legal. We know we're going to have to put money into the motor. That 413 needs help. We're going to punch it out to 426. It's got the good forged crank, but we're going to have to bore it to make it a 426. And there's a lot of money going to have to be spent on the engine. And I won't say there's no way around that, but there's going to come a point at which you just got to spend it. But when I think through what I have for the 4 speed stuff, I've got the transmission. I should have another shifter or two kicking around. I've got clutch, pressure plate. I've got a whole big stack of flywheels. I need to go look and see what I have. Probably if I was smart, I would go SFI. We may buy a new one. I'm not sure yet, but I'm going to see what I have first. And we're just going to kind of go around a little bit right now and show you what we've got and show you what I'm thinking as far as this car. Remember that the the forged crank out of that 413 is internally balanced and it is drilled for a stick. So we could put a either use a Dakota um, pilot bearing on it or use a traditional pilot bushing in it. Different than what we're going to have to do for stitches. We're going to have to drill the crank on that one. That's a project we'll do someday for that 440. But let's take you around just for real quickly and show you some of the stuff that I've got. Here's what I'm thinking. We definitely have the Shield and the 440 Lakewood here. We'll probably get that inspected and get it recertified. We might as well. It doesn't cost much to do that. But that I've been concerned about clearance on the Challenger for that. And when I'm building the chassis for the Mullet, that's not going to be a problem at all. So in some ways, this makes a lot of sense to put that on the Golden Mullet. We have a B body. Is that a 4-speed? Nope, that's a 3-speed. Sorry, wrong one. Hang on. We have a couple of options here. We have a dual pattern, which is both a B and an E. There is a shifter. Okay, good. So there's a shifter for that, or a standard B body, that's the one I'm leaning towards using. We have this clutch disc, I think is still good. I can't remember what it's out of. It's definitely a racing disc because you see there's no springs in it. But that pressure plate we have right here also just needs to be cleaned up and checked. I think that's still a good one. So we have that option. We wouldn't use that in the Duster because it doesn't have the springs, because that wouldn't be good for a street car. I think I have another one around here in a box. Yeah, we do have another one. This is a good one also. That's why it stayed. We may need this one on the Duster. I'm not sure, because this does have the springs for street. So I think the one I had in mind was the other one. But this is a whole brute force kit. Still in the box. It's used, but still in good shape. Just ran across another pressure plate too. Again, it's rusty, but that can be surfaced up. So I think we have options if I'm going to use what I have here. But the biggest concern is the flywheels. That's in another part of the barn, so let's go over there. And I just wanted to say this is all ballpark, so I haven't checked things to see if they're 10 inch, 11 inch. The last one I showed you may not even work in the Duster if it's an 11 inch. I don't know. As a Duster would take a 10 inch, but I better turn this thing off before I kill myself here heading upstairs. Okay, we're over on the other side now, so let's climb the other one I call the Stairway to Heaven. This one's the Stairway to Hell. I don't trust these stairs at all. I need to build new ones here. And we need to go through these and see what's what. I've had these forever. One thing I need to do is go through it. I'm going to take pictures of all these numbers and ID them. There's 3 10-inch flywheels here and a couple of 11 inches. So I need to determine what pressure plates I have and blah, blah, blah. But I also need to determine which ones are properly balanced. I think a couple of these are small block external balanced. Might have some internal balanced. I'm guessing these are big block ones here. So let me do some checking and I'll be right back. This one I just noticed has drilling out here. So that, I don't know if it's big block or small block, but I would guess this is a big block external balanced one. Because you can see it's got cutouts for counterweights and drilling for counterweights and so forth. I'm not finding any numbers on this one easily, but I don't see any, other than balancing it itself. I would guess that's for an internal balanced engine right there. So I don't know that for sure, but these are both 11 inch. So it looks like I have one external and one internal. What those are off of? Well, if it's internal balance, it doesn't matter. It's pretty much any big block with a forged crank. That external one could be a 400, which is balanced differently than a 440 cast crank or a 413 cast crank. So I don't know what that one is. I have this one small block, like I said. I think I showed this or not. No numbers on it, but from the looks of it, I would say it's a 0 balance. So, but I'm pretty sure. Oh my, I don't know, I guess. So I need to go do some digging. Let me go check those pressure plates and see what I'm dealing with on that side. Well, I just spent a fair whack of time running around. I double checked the Lakewood. It's dual pattern. It's just a matter of where you move the starter so you can get the engagement on the 10 or the 11. The pressure plate disc assembly in the box is 10 and a half, 10 inch. And the solid disc one with no relief springs, the racing clutch basically is 11 inch. So I think that unmarked flywheel up there um, is the one that'll work on that. I think that's for a forged crank. I'll have to double check that with people that are smarter than me, and I'll bring it down here and get it cleaned up and see what numbers it has on it. But if I go with the 426, 413 thing that I'm going to make, that 11-inch disc, 11-inch flywheel, that pressure plate. There's two 11-inch pressure plates up there, and I think they're both good. Um, bottom line, the way I'm going to build this car, if the clutch is no good, put a new one in. It's not that big a deal. So it'll be built to easily get in and out of. So with the Lakewood bell housing and that, we should be in good shape. I think that's going to be the way to go on this project. Now, there's a couple other things I want to talk about relating to this as well. One of the things I'm thinking about is Lakewood bell housing, that's fine, but with the amount of horsepower I'm considering putting under the hood, we obviously need to be concerned about any transmission, much less a stick shift that we could be going pow, dumping the clutch on, and the transmission going. um, it's going to have an SFI certified bell housing on it. Obviously, I still may go ahead and put an SFI flywheel on it, but my thinking, there's two schools of thought on flywheels. Go with a really light one so your engine revs really quick. Go with a really heavy one so that there's a lot of inertia when you launch. The engine will rev slower, but when the engine is revved, it will tend to stay there longer. I remember there was a guy that had up at the Ubley racetrack, which is a pretty well-known racetrack nationally, station wagon that was a stick shift, and he had a super heavy flywheel on a little 327 Chevy. And when he would launch that car, he'd rev that thing up to, I swear it was 10,000 RPM. It was just ridiculous. Isn't that fun? So I want to just think more through this stuff, but drop it down there in the comments. What do you think? Um, Stick shift, 426 supercharged, built as a race car basically on the street that I will probably run down the track a few times in its life, but it'll mostly be going to my personal drag strip and having fun with it. Um, I'm thinking that because of it being a stick, that the tunnel over the transmission is going to be plate, real heavy plate that will probably be removable so we can access the transmission for ease of putting it in and out. But that way there's some safety. I remember um, way back in the day, Tom Hoover was a friend of mine. Many of you know that. The father of the Hemi, 426 Hemi, Tom Hoover. He was my boss, but he was also a friend. And he lost one of his best friends. He was torn up, all those years later when I knew him, because clutch exploded, um, took off the fuel line. They didn't have a fuel pressure cutout switch on it. It had an electric fuel pump, and that car just kept feeding gasoline into the fire, and his friend burned to death. Some of you guys probably know who that was. I can't remember right now. It's been a long time. So those things are always in my mind, and of course, having a plate, blah blah blah, isn't necessarily going to stop a fire. But if the transmission, flywheel, clutch assembly explodes, and I have something with some pretty heavy plate in there, the chances of it coming through that are pretty slim. Um, so that's my thinking at this point. That doesn't mean that's my conclusion. Okay. So I'm just thinking this project through a little bit more and trying to decide. I'm probably 2 years out from really getting serious about that. We need to get stitches finished up and off the rotisserie. We need to get the Forsyth duster put back together again to the point that I can get it on the rotisserie to do the work that needs to be done on that. And once the duster gets on the rotisserie and the Challenger is mobile, then we can start bringing in all the materials to build the chassis table, to start building the tube chassis for the mullet. And that's going to take, that'll probably take me a year. So, but this is what I do is I think through all of the things that I want to do, so that when I get to it, we've shared episodes on the blueprints. There's more coming on the blueprints that I'm drawing for that whole thing. I'm going to be using as much of the OE stuff as I can, which is way outside the box, but I have my rationale for that. I'll get into it another day. Um, it's all about true hot rodding, and that is using what you have to make the most of it and build something that's just really kicking. So the movie, let's talk about the movie. The movie's coming out on September 30th at 7 p.m. in 2023. It will premiere on a Saturday. The normal release schedule for us is Friday and Sunday at 7 a.m. We're not doing Friday and Sunday episodes that weekend. We're only doing the movie Saturday night at 7 p.m. that weekend. I spent so much time putting that together over the last couple of months that I decided to sacrifice those 2 episodes. It'll be the first time in 4 seasons that we've ever not released an episode on a Friday and a Sunday, but I think the movie's worth it. So get your pizza and your popcorn and your beverages and whatever, and 7 o'clock Eastern time, Saturday night, it will be one epic episode. I'm calling it a movie, a sidebar project on the Golden Mullet. Well, I could talk about it, or we could take 30 seconds and I could show you the premiere. So don't miss that one. It's going to be pretty exciting. And if you're seeing this down the road, that movie will be here on the channel. And I will put it in a playlist called Feature Films or something like that. So if you look over on the playlist, we have all the projects broken down. Of course, it will be an episode in the Golden Mullet playlist as well, but it will also stand on its own because I intend to do 1 or 2 of those every year. I don't know what they'll be, but I thought that one was just really cool, and I'm excited to share it with you guys. So, all right, that's going to do it for this one. Tell me your thoughts on the directions I'm going with the Golden Mullet. Big block, 426, 4-speed, ultimately 671 blower, but I'm going to probably put that tunnel ram on there to start. We may throw some nitrous on it, on the tunnel ram, and, ultimately on the blower. There's just so much to do on that car, but we've got to get back on once my life settles down and I have a couple of full days back on the 86 pickup. And of course, we are in the middle of August right now. And by the time you see this, it's going to be pushing the middle to the end of September. We're going to be back into full big time fabrication stuff again and really start hammering back on stitches and on the Forsyth Duster. So there's probably some more driver car stuff coming yet. I've got a couple projects to do on scoops, and we've worked on the 47. I want to do some more on that. And I really got a few things I want to get done on the 69 Charger as well. So watch for those coming in the next month or so. All right, that's going to do it for this one. We will catch you on the next one. And don't forget, because around here, it's really important. Rock!